Welcome to
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? How you
I
doing?
talk about so many different things
How you
pertaining
been?
life and living and
What's
also
going on?
interviewing unbelievable
What's
people in
good?
the story life.
Are you
Please
getting it
subscribe
in?
and check me out.
Somebody
There's
getting it
over
for you?
102 individuals are welcome
What's
to the
going
Secret Clubhouse
on,
House. You can
people?
follow me on Instagram. See you
Subscribe
there.
to my channel.
Okay, I want to share this story with you in reference to Dr. Martin Luther King about the woman who tried to kill him way before he was murdered, assassinated. Martin Luther King Jr. was an American Baptist minister and an activist who became the most visible spokesperson leader in the civil rights movement back in 1954 until his assassination in 1968. He was born January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, assassinated April 4th, 1968 at St. Joseph's Hospital, Memphis. His famous speech was, "I Have a Dream." His children were Martin Luther King III, Yolanda King, Bernice King, and Dexter King. Now, I want to share this story with you in reference to his life. I don't know if you know, but I'm going to share with you before the guy who tried to kill him first, that did kill him. A woman who tried to kill Dr. Martin Luther King, August the 4th, on the 8th floor on a nursing home in Queens, New York, a 90-year-old woman who was slumped in a wheelchair in a hallway side in her room. She was sleeping, obviously from the roar coming from the television on the next door neighbor who was watching The Price is Right in a piercing volume. Through the uncomfortable toasty of July morning, the woman has been knitted in a shawl over her shoulders. She was wearing a green sweatpants and a green t-shirt, black shoes, and Velcro closures. The remaining wisps in her hair are gray and tangled. Her clenched left hand and wisp issue tissue will be used to absent mildly dabs on her face through her eyes. As she naps in the hallway, it's hard to imagine the frail Izola Curry was once who was be the one who tried to assassinate Martin Luther King and changed the course of history. The 7-inch steel letter opener. For more than half of a century, Curry has lived completely anonymous despite the fact that she nearly murdered Martin Luther King Jr. On September 1958, a decade before, the civil rights leader struck down by James Earl Ray in the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, convinced that King and the ACP leaders were surveilling her and conspiring to deny her employment. The delusional Curry appeared before the civil rights leader and he sat in the Harlem department store signing copies of his first book. She plunged a letter opener deep into the 29-year-old King chest after asking him, "Why do you annoy me?" According to the transcript, Curry posed arrest. Interrogated, she calmly told investigators that her motives were self-preservation because after all, if it wasn't him, it would have been me. He was going to kill me. Curry, who pulled the letter open from her purse, was also carrying a loaded gun pistol, which was hidden inside of her bra. Curry both bought the gun and earlier she bought the gun for $29 for Daytona Beach. She told investigators that she never taken the weapon outside of the home until September the 20th, the day she stabbed King. Curry claims that she had no intention to shoot King, but instead the pistol was protection in case the Reverend Martin Luther King followers attacked her. While asked why she placed the gun into her bust and not the handbag, Curry replied, "Suppose I happen to drop the bag and safety goes off and someone innocent person is shot and hurt." Such concern has not convinced hours earlier of Curry stabbing King with such force with her letter opener pierced the strength as soon as above. The photo shoot from the page of New York Daily News shows King with the letter opener sticking in his chest after being found in such a state of insanity that she could not understand the attempted murder charge launched against her as the result of incapable of hearing the defense. Curry was committed to the state hospital for criminal insane upstate Kill, New York. Currently pitched in the left, 42 years old, was entered into the state correctional facility. News of committed in November 1958, 2 months after she stabbed King, appeared in various newspapers, including the New York Times, which devoted 3 paragraphs to development in which last time Curry whereabouts of her condition would be the subject of press coverage. And the decades between King stabbing and assassination for the civil rights would often recall the Harlem attack. Nothing had close Nothing noting that how close he had become to dying as far as Saturday afternoon. Bloomstein department store, in fact, doing the Promised Land speech King delivered in Memphis the day before he was murdered, he referred to Curry. Now, what he said was, several years ago, I was in New York City autographing my first book, and I had written, and while sitting in the autographing book, and a black woman, demented, came up to me, King told the Mason's Temple audience. Before I knew it, I had been stabbed by this demented woman. I was rushed to the Harlem hospital. It was a dark afternoon, Saturday. The blade had gone through, and the x-ray revealed that the tip of the blade was on the edge of his aorta, the main artery. And once that punches, you drown in your own blood. That to the end. King added, it was out of New York. It was out in the New York Times the next morning that if he had merely sneezed, he would have died. As he closed his final statements of his life, King remarked that if he had sneezed, he would have missed a decade worth of milestones, events, including a patch as far as the Civil Rights Act and the Selma marches and the Freedom Right protesters and the March on Washington, where King developed his I Have a Dream speech, reflecting on how that might not have been. King said, I'm so happy that I didn't sneeze. Now, I would have died. As he closed the final statements, the King remarks that if he had sneezed, he would have missed the decades of the speech. Okay, since first publicly documents about the King stabbing nearly 70 years ago, the smoking gun has immersely tried to determine what became of the woman who mercilessly killed King, the civil rights leader, but checks in various databases, a wide varieties of public records, real properties, telephone, allegations, auto registrations, civil judgments, voters recall, and driver's license turned up no trace of Curry. Anyone else named Izola Curry? It was hard to conclude that Curry was deceased. It was hard not to conclude that Curry was deceased, accurately speaking, in the fact that it seems likely she had died perhaps decades earlier. Still, no obituary death notices had been published for Curry. Also, the name never appeared in any comprehensive as far as the death index maintained in the Social Security Administration. Now, after she tried to murder King, Curry appeared into the state corrections mental health system, apparently never been heard of again until last month, while again concluding every few years search for Curry. They discovered that Izola Curry was registered to vote in Queen's Address 3 months before 2012 president election. A copy of Curry's voter applications form obtained the New York City Board of Elections included a Hillside Avenue home address and was stamped in nursing home. Most important, the documents who listed the voter's date of birth, June 14, 1916, identified that was the demented black woman who tried to kill King. Izola Curry discovered has been living in Queens for about 40 years. While residing in predominantly African-American community, she appeared to have generated little, if not notice, while understandably seems that details of King's stabbings alone name her as his attacker largely lost in the history, and the fact that Americans would be unable to name the man, they would be unable to name the man who actually successfully assassinated civil rights leader Curry, seen to the left, now residing in the Hillside Manor nursing home in Jamaica, no-frills facility with 300 beds, a bustling Hillside Avenue. The 98-year-old lives in a small room with twin beds and looks outside near a parking lot. Next to her bed is walking and side tables and appear the whole entirely of her possessions, a stack of books and a couple of framed photos and a small pink stuffed animal. Now, during a recent visit, a reporter found her snoozing parked in a wheelchair outside of her room at 11 a.m. 10 other residents were similarly situated, scattered across from the hallways where the wheelchairs were. Some were sleeping, some were silent. When 98-year-old Curry awoke, she greeted the reporter with a smile. Miss Curry loves to talk. Offered a cherry attendant as she passed to the hallways. During the 90-minute conversation, Curry spoke at times muddled answers that were hard to figure out. At one point, she directed her visitor to fetch her a chair from the room so he did not have to stand over her, while Curry describe her routine schedule as far as get up at 5:30 in the morning and 10 p.m. at night, and not much of going to in between on how she ended up in the nurse's home scene at that night. She might question about Kings and stabbing of the blank stare. While offering no recollections of the attack, Curry referred to the 1958 and said that she was placed in a year in a hospital for criminally insane. One of the 8 children born in the sharecropper in Georgia, Curry said that she had no surviving family members. Wearing an ID bracelet on her wrist, Curry said that she entered into the Westside Manor a few years ago after injuring her leg and fell while living in a private family care home in Queens. Born at Izola, where Curry grew up, Adrian, in Georgia, a city about 100 miles northwest of Savannah. She left the school in the 7th grade and later married a man by the name of James Carey, when she was 21 years old. The couple separated about 6 months after their 1937 nuptials, and Curry moved into New York City, beginning of the existence that would see her in the balance from Georgia, Florida, St. Louis, and New York, while she searched for steady work as a housekeeper, short order cook, or factory worker. In a state hospital report obtained, her sister described her as somewhat disagreeable, children who had never gotten along with family members. She frequently started arguments with inclined to be jealous. One of the Curry siblings of the documented notice that reported that patient at Georgia State Hospital was institutionalized in a state-run facilities in New York is an interview with psychiatrist. Curry acknowledged she was on poor terms with her family member. So I wanted to share this day with you as far as this woman still living. I don't know if she's dead now. However, I found something here that says Izola Curry was an African-American woman who attempted to assassinate civil rights leader Martin Luther King. She stabbed King with a letter opener and Harlem book signing in September the 20th, 1958 during the Harlem civil rights movement. Now, they're saying that she was born June 14, 1916, Adrian, Georgia, and she died March the 7th, 2015. She just died in Jamaica's estate, New York City. And she's known for the assassination attempt on Martin Luther King Jr. And I just want to share this thing with you. I know it's a little long, but I want to share with you about this woman because I had no idea about her. And someone sent me the story, and I did it. Hope you like it. I knew he was murdered, but I didn't know about her stabbing him and stuff. And I want to share this with you just in case you didn't know about it. And he was 29 years old when he almost died by a black woman. Here it is, a man trying to help people as far as colored. And of course, the coloreds are coming in, not all colors, to kill him. In her mind, she said she couldn't find employment, that Martin Luther King and the NAACP was basically trying to destroy her. So the only way she felt as though, okay, people like me, if you know what I mean, I want you to hear this part I'm about to say. She thought that people were trying to kill her, as far as the NAACP. And she felt as though Martin Luther King was the person that was basically leading on. So what she did was she went to his book signing. She asked him, was he Martin Luther King? He presented a smile with her. She presented a letter opener and stabbed him. They described her as deranged, dismented. In her mind, she had a problem with him. A man had nothing to do with her. And the reason why I'm doing this is because if you look at her pictures, she was a very beautiful, well put together woman. But she was presented very beautiful. Someone you would never think. And she was a killer. Let's call the thing a thing. She was a killer. She just didn't kill him. She even had a gun on her. And my personal opinion was, if she couldn't shoot, she couldn't stab him, she was going to shoot him. The only reason why I don't think she executed the way she wanted to, I believe they grabbed her. I believe if no one was around to help him, she would have killed him with a gun. So, like I always said before, the ones you're trying to help, sometimes, not all, sometimes, is the one that's going to try to kill you. Especially my two spirit sisters and my two spirit brothers. If you're an advocate or a person is trying to help people, stand in the truth, don't be surprised that the one you're helping is the one that come to try to destroy you. This is something I told y'all tons of times, and I try to give you little clues. If you don't believe me, I try to come with receipts. Even Malcolm X, he was killed by a bunch of black men. Not white, black. And the sad part about it is, if you don't know, you don't know. But as of January the 21st, 2019, now you know who this woman was. She lived a full life until 2015. 2015. 4 years ago, she was alive. Anyway, like I said before, I love your feedback on this. Subscribe to my channel, tap this Instagram button. If you follow me, I follow back. How do you feel about this? Do you know about this woman? I didn't know about her, but I found the information. And usually when I find out something, I try to share with you. And the one thing I always try to point out to you, just because they're cute, just because they're beautiful, don't mean they ain't crazy. There are a lot of nice-looking people out here that's out to kill you. Stay woke. She walked through that door with that black face and his mind of thinking, I'm speculating. Here is one of my people coming to thank me for trying to help out. Here is one of my people telling me to fight on. Here's one of my people telling me it's going to be all right. No, here is one of your people coming to kill you. And thank God she didn't. He got a lot further. But unfortunately, he's dead. She died at 98 years old. Allegedly. I need receipts on that too. But anyway, I don't know if she did or somebody hit her away. I don't know. Because I feel like this, all of a sudden now she's popping up and all of a sudden she's missing again. That's just my opinion. That makes me think that it's something more deeper than what she's saying. Anyway, like I said before, I love you. If you're picking that subscribe to my channel, tap this Instagram button. I'll be reading your comments. How do you feel about this? Do you feel as though she's really dead? Do you feel as though they're trying to hide her because she's starting to come out in the forefront? Anyway, I'm going to be reading your comments. Love you guys. Share this video. I cannot share it, but share it for me. Share it any way you can. Love you guys. Have a blessed day.